Welcome to Chat with Leaders. Our mission is to give resilient servant leaders a platform for sharing the inspiring things they're doing to lead their teams, customers, and themselves wisely. I'm Jeff Bond, Director of Client Services at Berry, and your co-host alongside Chris LaFay, owner of Classic City Consulting. How's it going, Chris?
It's been a good day so far. No complaints on this side of town.
Good, good. Well, we survived the tornadoes rolling through Atlanta last night. It's the day after
Yeah.
Easter. It's April 2020. Surely a day that's unusual and a time where we're socially distant from our loved ones and our work, and we're in the midst of an unprecedented time of coronavirus, soaring unemployment, economic turmoil. It's just completely upended the course of this world. So today we'll be chatting about the resulting leadership challenges that you're having, that I'm having, and we'll talk about how to remain hopeful and forge ahead. And our hope is that this creates some inspiration. You know, this show is intended for leaders to reflect on and to share the things that they're doing to lead themselves, their teams, and their communities wisely and faithfully, whether it's an uncertain time or a great time. So I'm excited to get this off the ground, and I'm excited to be partnering with you on this.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. And one other note to throw in there too, Tim Smith is going to be one of our other co-hosts, but today he was not able to join us. So hopefully next episode, we'll be able to go ahead and get him back on board as well.
Absolutely. Well, we'll miss you, Tim, and we hope to make you proud in this initial chat, episode 1. So, Chris, our goal is to be a good steward here. Our tagline is short chats, meaningful ideas. So I want to get right to it. The first question I have for us to kind of talk about is, what are the business challenges you're facing as a result of the coronavirus and social distancing mandates, and how are you responding to it right now?
In my particular business, I'm super thankful and super blessed. We have not had a huge change in what we're doing. Right now, all of my team is completely remote. We don't have an office. So that wasn't a challenge in and of itself. A lot of our clients are dealing with that particular challenge currently. And a lot of our clients have messages that they want to get out to their customers during this time. And so trying to figure out, really the biggest thing is trying to figure out how we can be, servant minded toward these people, so that in the midst of their struggles, how can we be there to assist them and also not financially burden them as well. And so trying to have a kind of a little bit of a balancing act going on with some of those things. And one unique project that's kind of actually come up because of this, obviously restaurants are one of the especially small business restaurants, are one of the more hard hit in this whole scenario. And just last week, had a potential customer cold call reach out saying that they're trying to figure out how they can get their group of like these 200 to 400 restaurants in Atlanta to accept payments online quickly. Because a lot of these are like mom and pop shops. They don't have DoorDash and not Grubhub, but Uber Eats and things along those lines. And so how do we help those people out and allow them to continue to make money during this trying time? So our team has been trying to come up with a solution over the last 48 hours of how can we very inexpensively allow these restaurants to put their menus online without too much effort on our side, so that we can do as many of them as possible, as quickly as possible, and still make sure that it's secure and easy for people to add items to a cart, purchase them, send email notifications, etc. So flying a little bit by the seat of our pants here, but
We all are. This is an unprecedented time. I don't think anyone saw it coming. So, and which kind of leads me to ask you too, remind the listeners what you do, what Classic City Consulting is all about, and you as the president and founder of the business. What's your responsibility as a leader?
Yeah, so we do web development and marketing. And so our whole goal is just to kind of take the burden of web off of your plate. And so we work with a lot of small to medium-sized businesses where typically, the owner or some C-level type of person has just kind of been thrown the website, where you're like, okay, this is on your plate because you're technical. And they're at a point to where they're tired of it and they don't want to do web on their own anymore. And that's where we kind of step in and we help kind of guide. So we partner up with a lot of people at a business level to try to help lead and guide them to the right solutions, not just the thing that's the cheapest or the most expensive, but trying to figure out what actually makes the most sense. And so a lot of our clients are long term, which has been wonderful in building good quality relationships over the years. Um, those types of people are a lot more, you get to do a lot more with those types of people. You're kind of, you're at stage one of the business with them, and then you go to stage two, then stage three. You get to watch that growth and build that relationship, and it's a blast.
Right. Now, with your team, you have several people on your team that are developers, that are creatives, that are account managers, and you guys are all working remote, as you mentioned. So have you had any major shifts in terms of how you do your work or how you collaborate as you all are socially distant and as you're kind of managing and engaging your team's day-to-day project activities?
Our day-to-day project activities hasn't changed too much because a lot of what we do to kind of have a little bit of a dive in, and we use Slack and Jira for pretty much all of our internal communications and then external project management communications. And between those two things, we're able to cut down on a lot of email sends and whatnot. But getting some other clients involved in those platforms, we've started educating some of our clients on how to utilize these platforms, because before they could just go and, tap on, Timmy's shoulder and be like, hey, I need this done.
Yep.
Now they can't do that. So actually walking through with some of these people about, these are the 3 or 4 systems you should take a look at. Here are the pros, here are the cons of them. We think you should go with this, but in reality, it's up to you. And so really walking through with them on some of those things has been key and critical in these times. And it's made us flexible. Like, we've had to adjust our systems and our processes so that they can better serve their customers and their employees as well. So
Yeah, and I would imagine that gives you a little bit of a leg up that you are accustomed to using these tools. But I would venture to say that the majority of businesses out there, small to mid-sized businesses, and even large enterprise businesses, have never considered remote working and social distancing and how they lead their teams. What are some things that you would say that you've done as you've implemented this remote working culture around your business over time that have still allowed you to lead effectively in such ways that your team stays connected and everyone knows what's going on?
yeah, so one thing that we do, and we're not 100% at it, and I wish we were, but we do this thing called the weekend wrap up. And so whoever is on our team, we have a lot of contractors. I don't have any full-time employees. And so whoever is active, being a contractor at the current time, at the end of the day, toward the end of the day on Fridays, we will all get on a Slack video call together. And the goal is to only take about 15 minutes or so. We want it to be short and sweet because honestly, we've talked with each other all week long. And the goal of that is to not talk anything work related. Everybody gets their slot of time to talk through, this is something cool that's happened for me this week. And so that's actually what I typically lead off with, is I randomly select somebody and I'm like, hey, you, what's something exciting that's happened this week that's not related to work? And so we've had a lot of really good conversations around that. One of my guys 2 years ago got me back into playing video games. So, pros and cons, right? But
Oh,
through those discussions, a lot of really fun and interesting things have come up. And so that's one of the things we try to do. We're on Slack. We try to do video calls whenever we possibly can. But being organized and having as clear of a vision as possible is the biggest thing right now, is especially if you're not used to remote working, being able to make sure that you're casting the vision for what is currently active and how that's going to change things going forward and what you want that end result to look like. That's key, because you don't want to live in this reactive state.
right.
Because we all are
Hmm.
being reactive right now. Such as life. We have to.
Yeah.
But converting from being reactive to proactive is going to be a big swap over in the next month or two. So
Which seems the only way to be. And as you can see, I'm writing things down because we've had lots of conversations since all of this. And I really like what you're saying about just some of these non-work related conversations and keeping it positive and and guiding those conversations. I like the weekend wrap up. I'm going to have to steal that phrase with my team.
We call it wee woo. So we get all these Slack messages about, hey, we doing the wee woo this week. So it's been fun.
I like it. I like it. Well, cool. Well, so you haven't seen a lot of change, but change is the only constant. And particularly now we've been thrusted into a significant amount of change. And I can only imagine for leaders, as you're considering, do I lay people off? How do I keep positive? How do I forge ahead faithfully in these uncertain times? What are the activities that I should be doing as a leader that my team should be doing? How do I guide them proactively versus just being reactive to the circumstances? I really feel like this is a time to consider what things could we change permanently to be more proactive. So what are some of the things that you see in business as a leader changing more permanently in light of everything that we're experiencing now with more remote work?
What I'm really hoping changes permanently is this increased level of empathy that we all are having with one another now. So like before I've worked from home for a long time, and we have a dog. And so, every so often my dog sees someone outside the window, starts barking like crazy. Such is life, right? Well, it's what comes with having animals. And so now pretty much anybody that I talk to on video calls, phone calls, etc., they're like, oh, you're outside. Oh, you're walking the dog. Oh, the dog's barking. Nobody cares because we're all in this crazy reactive bubble together.
Right.
But before, there's some people that you can, be a little more relaxed with, unbutton the top button type of people, and more people that you have to, button the top button all the time. And so I'm hoping that through all of these changes that are being made, and that empathetic piece stays strong, because not that I don't deal with a lot of those types of people, but I feel like us as a global community is being a lot more empathetic just astronomically overnight. And so if we can continue to be empathetic like that to each other and giving each other the benefit of the doubt, that's a huge win in my playbook. So
yeah, I agree. The word compassion keeps coming to mind for me in this time, checking in on one another, having that empathy, that genuine care and concern for your teams, and also taking care of yourself. I think that's one thing I think a lot of leaders are stressed, and the first person that we need to consider is us. If a plane's going down, the first person you offer the oxygen mask to is yourself, because if you don't save yourself and serve yourself, you're not able to lead effectively and help others. So I think those are great points, Chris. I really appreciate it. And that's something that I will be putting into practice as well. Well, that's it for this session. We're going to try to keep these talks to about 10 minutes with influential leaders in Atlanta. We're going to be recording these and releasing them on about a weekly schedule. I think that's what we all agreed to, and we'll change as we go, and we'll remain empathetic towards one another. A call to action for me would be to consider the times, be more empathetic towards one another, lead faithfully, and have compassion towards one another. We are all in this together. We will come out of it together, but it takes good, faithful leaders and relaxed, serious leaders like you, Chris. It's going to help teams forge ahead faithfully. So thank you for that. I'm sure your team appreciates it. We will publish this episode in our show notes to our website, chatwithleaders.com. We'll also post it to all our social media pages on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, as well as wherever you get your audio podcasts. If you have any questions for myself, Chris, Tim, please email us at info@chatwithleaders.com. We will be journeying together as we forge ahead with this, and we look forward to bringing more leaders into these conversations. But for now, I will leave you with these thoughts, and we thank you so much for being with us today.